I booted up the Elder Scrolls Online not knowing what to think. You might think I'm being poetic. Tamriel Unlimited is a game I don't know how to approach. It could be all kinds of games, all depending on the way that you look at it. I've seen people review it an Elder Scrolls game, or an RPG, or its own thing. I played the game with all 3 Dominions at least to level 12, and I can believe that I'm up to the task of reviewing this game, Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited, for the PlayStation 4. So your first question has to be if it's an MMO or an Elder Scrolls game. It doesn't play like an MMO, yet it doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls game.
Maybe you're looking for something particular.
Ah, those were the days. Buckets on the head, stealing as I wanted. It's a story straight out of Elder Scrolls lore that we're dealing with in this game. Most MMORPG gamers fall into the plot of, wait a minute, wait a minute, what happened to the main story? DC Universe. It makes me happy to see Elder Scrolls Online is not falling victim to this trait. The story will appear and reappear throughout your adventures in Tamriel and occur naturally as you level. The story involves Molag Bal, a Daedric god who seeks to rule over the earth and kill the entirety of Nirn. Just like in Mortal Kombat, the good gods, the Aegis, seem to not do a damn thing to help, so in you come, a prisoner again, and it's up to you to escape Molag Bal's grasp and bring an end to his monstrous plans to rule the world. It's fun. Aside from that, just like in Elder Scrolls 4, you can do anything. In Aridin, one of the elven islands of the Somerset Isles, I was exploring a cave of rogue wizards fighting my way through them all. Then in the Ebonheart Pact, I was fighting to find a Dark Elf's daughter, as he falsely accused an Argonian of kidnapping her. However, for every side quest that managed to pique my interest, another just as equally made me bored and go turn off the game, seeing my first dose of sunlight in a while. This is the first of the Elder Scrolls Online many problems. But to a MMORPG player, it's right at home, and I don't necessarily mind the repetitive aspects of the game, such as killing generic enemies for some interchangeable supply to get to some interchangeable NPC and get some interchangeable loot. However, as I was saying earlier, I'm a part of a channel, MMORPG Let's Play. You should check it out right here on the UBR. Now, while I bang my head up against the wall in shame of my shameless promotions, I can still see a blatantly huge problem with this game in regards to the story and mythos. 2, in fact. First is the world. I don't care if it's an MMO or not. What made Elder Scrolls popular in the first place? And that's a question. What did make it popular? It wasn't the combat. Oh, those are the days. It wasn't the graphics. It wasn't the story. It was the quality releases. Oh, I love messing with you guys. No, it was the open-ended exploration. The ability to take off in any direction and have a vast and open world ahead of you. The thought and preconception that your actions would affect generations to come, and that you could forge those choices yourself. Elder Scrolls takes a wrong turn off a cliff and falls back off again when it gets back to the top. Yes, it's quite possibly the best-looking Elder Scrolls game, but it's stale. Let me draw a dark comparison. This is Skyrim, who would walk around the town and see NPCs doing their own thing and going about their lives. They would talk with the other NPCs. I remember distinctly in Whiterun, there was a beggar, a feuding family over a son lost at war, and a preacher who told the Gospel of Talos in front of the great castle of Whiterun, run by Jarl Balgruuf. And Elder Scrolls, there's a cool-looking Argonian. I mean, there are generic NPC characters that stand there, and audience, please don't listen to the BS that the masses are going to tell you. I don't care if it's an MMO. I knew walking into this that it wasn't going to be Skyrim, and I like MMO games. I knew it would play like that. But there's no reason for it not to feel like Elder Scrolls. In this very small respect, it would have been perfectly feasible for the developers to have the citizens of Tamriel walk, talk, or something, even if it's on a scripted path. Instead, invincible guards follow scripted pathways, and most civilians don't talk, move, or do anything outside of dialogue. It's a missed opportunity, and it made me start to beg a question I'm going to pose to you guys later. Then, the exploration, what made the Elder Scrolls games truly masterpieces. being able to take off and follow the destiny of your own adventures. This is all but ruined in the Elder Scrolls Online. Quests are pointed out to you on the map with big black markers pointing them out. It adds to the sense of artificiality that this world has. In fact, that's the one word that you could use to describe this game. Artificial. I don't even feel like talking to the other NPC characters because I know that there won't be any dialogue trees whatsoever, and they won't advance my causes in any way, so screw them. They can stand there and look at the ground for the rest of eternity. Instead of a vast Tamriel that is truly unlimited, it falls flat on its face and becomes Tamriel linear. Then, Tamriel itself isn't even unlimited. I looked at the map and tried it as all three factions. Only about 50% of Tamriel's landmasses are there, with those being linear limitations as it is. So Tamriel Linear becomes Tamriel Linearly Limited. I don't really blame ZeniMax though. My tagline won't really sell copies. I mean, you could put below it, it's not that bad. But that being said, Tamriel that is available, and I confess the majority of my time that I had in the available parts of Tamriel was spent gazing at the world, despite the lack of things to do in that landmass. Another gripe I have is that The Elder Scrolls is a game of adventure, strife, and legends. Let me display what I mean. This dragon fight is Elder Scrolls at its core. This invasion of a town is not. When you have an MMO, you lose the elements that make Elder Scrolls so epic and grand, because then everything becomes replaceable. It becomes something that won't be as big of a deal to another traveler looking around who isn't on that quest. Now, the combat. It translates very well onto consoles, and feels right at home with a cross between MMOs and TES. The Elder Scrolls! While it isn't a skill shot physics system based on the fighting, you can barely tell the difference unless dodging or firing ranged weapons. So don't expect to get skill shots with an arrow. Unless the enemy is glowing red, you're not going to hit them. It's just as crisp as before, as I found myself parrying the enemies I faced across Tamriel, unleashing fury upon them with my sword and shield as the great Dahili, hero of the Altmeri Dominion. Then I would switch to Chang'e and rain wrath upon my foes through my magical Staff of Frost, or crush my enemies with a bow as Dilthrog the Wise. The boss encounters are well done, although most are not particularly memorable. The hotbar, though, ties in very well with the system, as there are no cooldowns, and a lot of the moves are contextual and integral to the overall combat system. The group dungeons is where I think that the console port also falls flat on its face. The group dungeons are well designed and present challenge to a group, as you're forced in typical MMORPG fashion to fight with roles, such as healers, tanks, and heavy hitters, like in our show, our Unbiased Reviews. Stop it. However, as good and dandy as this is, it isn't fun if you can't queue into a group. What I have here is uncut footage rolling. This screen is what I saw for 2 hours until I got up, turned the game off, and opened the door to see the great world ahead of me. This is a bad thing, for the game and not for my body. I am more fit than I come off. In short, the dungeons are great when they actually work. Make sure that you come into this game with 3 other friends. Luckily, I made all my adventures through Tamriel, or else it would have gotten very boring very quickly, and a lot more weight-filled. Here's a little story I have for you, an oddity I discovered early on in my game, as I like talking directly to my audiences. In Oblivion, there was a man with his own plane of Oblivion, Lord Sheogorath. Sheogorath was fascinated with cheese. His Oblivion plane centered around it.
Wonderful! Time for a celebration! Cheese for everyone!
Now, here's where I question ZeniMax. In The Elder Scrolls Online, he appears. Now, this man who voiced Sheogorath is only in his 30s. I looked him up. He voiced the character in Oblivion and Skyrim. I checked his info, and he's still voice acting. So why did he not accept the voice acting role for ESO? Simple. He was never asked. Instead, the developers neutered a beloved fan character. It's like if the charismatic Yoda became voiced by Adam Sandler and no longer lived as a Jedi. Little things like this pop out throughout the game, inconsistencies within the lore, discrepancies with the geography, and a few out-of-place characters like Lord Sheogorath. And you would help Sheogorath in Oblivion, you would go through the Oblivion plane. In this game, all that I did was just stand next to him, and he didn't even help me fight. there was just a portal that would drop one enemy in at a time as I fought him off in a repetitive sequence. This makes me raise an important question, and as an MMO, Elder Scrolls Online is great, but it really never does anything new or original, it's just good. Then simple Elder Scrolls concepts are not even incorporated into the game. This makes me wonder, and it should make you wonder, if Elder Scrolls Online is a passion project, or if it's a cash cow to get Starting Studio ZeniMax up on its feet. Now, the PvP. On PC, it looked amazing. Armies would run at each other and clash into epic duels of the fates. Testosterone was everywhere, and it is where I believed that this game would shine on the consoles. But oddly enough, it doesn't live up to its expectations. It fails to create an easy way for groups to get together and raid areas. Instead, it's just me running into the occasional wanderer and cutting him down, or me charging a castle on my horse as the Great Tahili, only to get ripped to shreds by a catapult. It just wasn't fun, it was disorganized. If only there were organized war times or raids on a certain date or something like that. Something like this would have made Cyrodiil's PvP much more than just lone men against castles. It's annoying, and even more so when your friends helping you raid the castle can't even help you due to the game's lack of quick commands or text chat. I just wound up going back to PvP after a couple hours.
I don't need friends, they disappoint me.
This game has got to be the hardest one I've ever had to do. Not because I was unsure of the basis to judge it on, but because of all the complaining I seem to be doing. I still invested over 100 hours. For all the times the servers wouldn't work and beyond, I sat there waiting to be put back into Tamriel. For every queue that I was never put in, I made friends from around the world and had plain fun, something that I believe is all too rare in gaming. So I want to propose a rhetorical question to you guys. Is it a MMORPG, an Elder Scrolls game, or both? It doesn't shove DLC down our throats. It has pretty standard dungeons with really good combat, an immaculate character creator, and a great storyline. But then it turns around and falls flat on things like exploration and having an alive world. When I left Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, it felt like it existed before I got there and would continue to. Elder Scrolls Online misses the mark terribly. So for the first time ever, I'm going to explain a few things in my verdict. Elder Scrolls Online did the unthinkable. It tried to merge two of the most opposed forces in gaming, single player and multiplayer. However, when a game like this comes out, questioning where to draw the line is where the hard part is, unfortunately. I mean, when a game like this comes out, if you're an MMO player, it's great. Sit down, shut up, and have fun. It's amazing. I love it as an MMO. But as an Elder Scrolls game, I can't be that affirmative. It falls flat on its face at times, and that is without me even mentioning the ability to never kill certain civilians, the fact that guards are invincible, and horses are only available for free with the Premium Edition. The freedom that defines the Elder Scrolls is nowhere here to be found, and that is what it is at its core. That is the most important element of the Elder Scrolls. It's an MMO with a few Elder Scrolls elements. If you're a hardcore TES fan, just re-download the old games. However, for someone like me who's a fan of both, I have to say that once again, for all my complaints, I had fun. So here it is. I give the Elder Scrolls a 7 out of 10. It's no masterpiece. It misses certain elements of Elder Scrolls, and sometimes on occasion has terrible matchmaking and servers that make the MMO aspect fall flat on its face. Will I still play it after this review? Yes. But is it the game that it was hyped out to be? No. It just makes me wonder, why not pioneer a new genre? One could have blended these elements together. Instead of judging it as one or the other, I wonder why more people don't judge it for not raising the bar like every Elder Scrolls title before it. That's right. This is why it received this rating. Well guys, this is Tom from the UBR, and I will see you guys next time on Unbiased Reviews, and have a great day. Thank you for not crucifying me for what I just said. Once again, just like Bloodborne, it must have been pretty tempting. Now, I will see you guys next time on the season finale at the end of July, where I will take a break until September. And our Star Wars The Old Republic Let's Play will be going until, I'd say, September or October. It might even continue after then, who knows, I don't know. Check those out for more. Well, I'll see you guys there, and in the season finale of Unbiased Reviews. I love all of you, and thank you for checking out my channel.